It is awareness that has taken this appearance in order for this to happen. That's all. It's taken this appearance in order for us to experience the idea that there are separate selves, and that there is time and space, and there is a story, and there is something happening here, and it did have a beginning and will have an end. That's all an appearance. Right? The problem is that almost all of humanity takes that appearance to not be an appearance. It's actual. Almost all of humanity takes that appearance to be actual. It's not an appearance. It's actually happening. And it's actually happening to me, and it's actually happening to you. Yeah, and in that world where it's actually happening, people are born and people die, and people are separate from one another, right? In that appearance, right? But that appearance is awareness having taken form. That's what that appearance is. So when we say that if you want to experience freedom, if you want to be free from being stuck in that appearance, right? Because most humanity is stuck in that appearance. They don't know they're stuck in that appearance, because if you talk to them, they'll say, you're crazy, this is all there really is. So I'm not stuck in an appearance, you're crazy, you're losing your mind, you must be in a cult. Right? So, but that's the way it is. Most of humanity is stuck in an appearance that they call reality. And you know, when you look at it, nobody has difficulty understanding that when you're asleep at night and you're dreaming and you wake up, that wasn't real, right? Nobody has a problem with that. At the time when you were dreaming, it seemed very real, just like this, didn't it? If the time you were dreaming, it seems so real, just like this, that you were experiencing emotions, you were moving around, you saw yourself in the body, you saw other people, situations occurred, and you were experiencing it as a reality. It was real for you when you were sleeping and you were dreaming, but the physical body was lying there sleeping. And the mind was producing the dream, wasn't it? Your mind was producing the dream because it wasn't really happening. The body's sleeping, the body's lying there asleep. So the mind's producing this dream. And then the body wakes up, right? And because there's an agreement because of the persistence of this dream and the fact that we're all sharing it, that this is real and that's just a dream. But in reality, the mind is generating this just like it generated that. That was an appearance and this is an appearance. And as long as you're limited to believing that that's reality, as long as you're limited to believing that this appearance that we are sharing with one another is a reality, then you get to suffer within that reality. You get to suffer within the time and space of that dream. You get to suffer within the form of that dream. You get to suffer being limited. You get to suffer being contained in this flesh suit. And you get to suffer, dealing with the idea that you are something that you're not. You get to suffer experiencing yourself as a character that got written into a script. It's like a character that got written into a script and is playing out a story and living out the script, right? Just like somebody that's in a movie or a play, right? And they don't know that it's a movie or a play, and they don't know that they're living in a script. It's just like if you took somebody that's in a movie and they're in the movie dealing with the drama that's occurring in the movie, they're in the movie as the physical body that they are, they're in the movie as the personality that they are, they're in the movie with all the situations that are happening in the movie. It's just like that's the case, right? And then you tell this character in the movie, hold on a minute, slow down a minute, just stop, and allow yourself to become aware. Just stop and allow yourself to experience brief moments of awareness, resting as awareness. And when the character in this movie playing this script and this story does that, if they do that consistently, right, they start to have what's called an awakening. And what the awakening is the recognition that this story and this script and this character that I'm playing, right, is an appearance. that my true nature is not what I'm seeing. My true nature is the awareness that makes what I'm seeing possible. My true nature is not what I'm seeing. My true nature is the awareness that makes that possible. Right? So one way to talk about this is that right now, all of you sitting here right now, right? You are awareness itself. That's true right now. You don't have to do anything for that to be true. It's already true. You are awareness itself. That is your true nature. That awareness that you are is here all the time under all circumstances. So when you're busy paying attention to the thoughts in your mind, and when you're busy identifying yourself with the character that you believe you are that occurs in thinking, when you're busy doing that, and when you're busy paying attention to the emotions, and when you're busy being in the drama, when you're busy being in the story in time and space, when you're busy doing that, there is a reality that is the awareness itself that makes that possible. None of the thinking and the emotions and the story and the physical sensations and the appearance, none of that's possible unless there's an existence in which that can happen, yes? You follow that? None of that's possible unless there's an existence within which all that can happen, right? And that existence could be called awareness. And that existence that could be called awareness is empty of all of that that's happening. It is the space, or it is the consciousness in which that's occurring. And not only is it the space or the consciousness in which that's occurring, right? But it turns out that if you rest in awareness for brief periods of time, consistently over time, it dawns on you that not only is that an appearance that's occurring, but that appearance and the awareness that is your true nature are exactly the same thing. That's called non-duality. Your awareness and what's appearing are exactly the same thing. Right now, if you look at your visual field, that you're sitting in this room and you have a visual field, right? If you look at this visual field that's here, it occurs to you that there's a room here. It occurs to you that that room is out there and you're separate from it, right? But through the practice of brief moments of experiencing yourself as that awareness, it starts to dawn on you, right, that this appearance of this room that appears to be separate from you is not separate from you. That this is awareness. This is awareness having taken the form of that. It's all awareness. You're the awareness, it's the awareness. All there is awareness happening here. And when you begin to practice, whether it's through formal meditation, which at this point I consider to be practicing the practice of recognizing awareness and then sitting in stillness and sitting silently to allow that recognition of awareness to fulfill itself, to realize itself, to notice itself. So one of the things that's necessary in the practice of meditation, right, is at some point, through eliminating a lot of distraction and through being aware of the thought activity and the emotions and the sensations, and through being aware of attention, which is that which is giving you, it's what's directing your focus to these thoughts and these feelings and so forth, becoming aware of that attention, it becomes possible to see, well, I can move that attention. I can move it from here to here, and I can be aware of the body breathing. I can move that attention from here to here. When I move it from here to here, something shifts, something happens, and what that shift is and what happens is that my identity as a personality is not operating. It operates in thinking. So my identity as a personality is not operating when when I move my attention away from thought. Now that that's not happening, it becomes possible for me to be aware of this body here breathing, and I say that the way I say it, because one of the things there is to realize and recognize directly is that this body is a form that has occurred, and this body is awareness having taken a form as a body. And so now the awareness is aware of this body breathing. And when you're aware of this body breathing and you're no longer involved in the thought activity, it becomes possible to notice awareness itself. It's like the movie screen that the movie's playing on. Awareness itself. It's empty. It's formless. So you want to see it's happening right now. You are that right now. You are experiencing the truth right now. Nothing has to happen. You don't have to practice anything. You don't have to do anything. It's there right now. If you just allow yourself to look, it's possible to recognize this formless, genderless, timeless, direct experience of your true nature as awareness itself. This is critical. In the Zen tradition, they call this kensho. It's critical because the possibility for realizing your true nature doesn't exist until you recognize it. The possibility for recognizing, the possibility for experiencing your true nature, which means that you're experiencing freedom from suffering, experiencing contentment, satisfaction, and peace consistently, is available at all times. So it's very important to be clear that this is not something that, there are a lot of people that think that formal meditation is practicing getting into this state of awareness, right? And then staying in this state of awareness in which nothing's happening. You're just in this, what they go into caves in the Himalayas for. You just want to get away from everything and experience how great this feels to be nothing, how great this feels to be everything, how great this feels to be awareness itself. And I just want to be absorbed, self-absorbed in this experience itself. But one of the things that is unrealized by people who do things like that is that it's not necessary. You don't have to isolate yourself to experience the truth. You don't have to change anything to experience the truth. The awareness that we're speaking of, that we're talking about practicing, experiencing, is there all the time. And when you begin to practice it, instead of in a formal way, you start to practice it informally, like practicing short moments of awareness as often as possible. Short moments as resting as awareness as often as possible. You start to punctuate, you start to bring this awareness in to punctuate your experience in such a way that eventually, through doing this, through practicing resting as awareness for brief periods of time as often as possible, eventually by doing this, the awareness becomes so obvious. See, every time you do that, you're experiencing the truth of yourself. Every time you do that, you're experiencing the natural state. It doesn't last because, we have all been oriented and conditioned to live in the thought process. So it doesn't last, right, because our habit, our brain, and our conditioning is to live in the thought process, right? And not only that, but the way the brain is conditioned and the beliefs that we have about what we are has it that if we leave the thought process too long, we'll be in danger because the thought process is going to keep us alive because we believe that we're this physical body and we want to keep it alive. So that's the reality in which most people are living their lives. Right? But what you come to discover, first through formal meditation where you develop your ability to pay attention, then through informal meditation where you practice just short moments often, just as many times as you can during the day, brief moments of resting as awareness, right? Eventually what happens is the awareness that's there all the time, right, becomes obvious enough that you don't have to practice anything. And you're aware that you're aware all the time under all circumstances. This is why it's very important to move from the formal practice, right, which is a specific circumstance, to informal practice, which is under all circumstances. So it means that you're now practicing being the natural state. You're now practicing what you are under all circumstances. When the mind is crazy, see, this is something that it's hard to for a lot of people to conceptualize. That you could be in a crazy state of mind and at the very same time be completely at rest as awareness. Completely at rest and completely calm and completely at peace at the very same time. that this emotional, psychological activity is happening in the mind at the very same time. Why? Because this and that are the same thing. This is the dynamic expression of this. Right? The thought activity, all the activity, the thinking, all the activity is the dynamic expression of the awareness, which means that even when it's in its dynamic form, even when it's moving in the form of thought, in the form of emotions and so forth, the stillness that it is still there. One way to understand this is to look at sound, right? No matter what the sounds are that are occurring, silence is there. It has to be there because silence is the space the sound is occurring in. Do you follow me? There has to be silence, right? If you understand this, you can be listening to loud sounds, right, and be aware of silence at the same time, because silence is always there, even with the sound. Same thing is true with awareness. Awareness is always there, completely at rest, calm and at peace at all times, even when there's a lot of activity, which means that you can practice experiencing yourself as this awareness under all circumstances. And only when you experience yourself as this awareness under all circumstances are you experiencing the possibility of being what you are, experiencing the possibility of being, experiencing the possibility of freedom, experiencing the possibility of happiness, under all circumstances. When you are in the natural state, when you're experiencing your true nature, you are naturally appropriate all the time. You will be able to respond to the reality of what's happening instead of respond to what you think is happening. You'll be able to respond to the reality of what's occurring instead of responding or reacting from a mental state or an emotional state. And when that's the case, what isn't consistent with this reality, right, is seen to be that. When that's the case, what's not consistent with this experience of well-being, of peace and contentment and satisfaction is immediately recognized as that, and there is an immediate loss of interest in it. You're just not interested in it. You know, there's immediate recognition when negative thoughts occur, right? And when they occur, right, there is an immediate recognition that those thoughts are thoughts that come from the limited view instead of the open awareness. But you see, you can't get to the freedom that makes available, and you can't get to the peace and the contentment and satisfaction that makes that available through a conceptual understanding. You can't. The purpose of the concepts, right, is to just give you a clear conceptual understanding that you can use to motivate you to do the practice necessary to come out of the condition. Other than that, it's not worth anything. I know this firsthand because I've been studying this thing since I was a kid, right? And I had a lot of the concepts down pat when I was 20 years old, but I was miserable. I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure out what the hell's wrong. What do I have to do here, you know? And it's a very frustrating experience when you have given all your energy and attention to learning as much as you can about life and human behavior and psychology and all the rest of it, right? You figure if I can learn enough about it, if I know enough about this, then I can be successful in living my life here, right? But it doesn't work like that, because what it is that is necessary in order for you to get out of this condition, to get out of these circumstances, right, is not going to happen through learning. It's not going to happen from conceptual understanding. Conceptual understanding can get you to a place where you can recognize the situation, the predicament, but that's not going to get you out of it, right? So that's why these practices become necessary. They're really not necessary. The only reason the practices are necessary is because of the condition that you're in. Right? You're already there. You're already home. You're already the awareness. So there can't be anything necessary to be what you already are. The problem is you think you're something else. That's the problem. You think you're something else, and you live in a world where there are 8 billion people that think they're something else. Right? So even if you wake up to your true nature, right, and you're experiencing the freedom and the well-being that's available when you're in that experience, you still are living in a world where most other people are stuck in the condition. And so what happens when you wake up, what happens is you realize that these other people are you because there is no separation. And if these other people are you and they're suffering, then part of your natural state naturally is to look and see, what could I do? How can I make a difference? How can I assist people in waking up so that they can end the suffering? That becomes natural. And relating to other people becomes easy because there is nobody. Relating to other people becomes easy because they're not separate from you. They are identical to you. They are you. They are the same as you when it comes to awareness. It's called open intelligence. Right? It's awareness, or it's called wisdom. You could, the form of intelligence that awareness has is called wisdom, and wisdom is seeing things as they actually are. Wisdom is seeing that separation is an illusion. That's wisdom, right? Wisdom is recognizing that you are not a physical body. That's wisdom. Right? Wisdom is recognizing that the awareness that you are is always at rest and always at peace and always content and always satisfied, even when the awareness is taking the form of dynamic activity, like thinking, feeling, moving, like that.